go out and play a load of pieces for no reason. But on the other hand, much nicer if there is a point to it.
Well, I mean, committed to a series, and coherent, I think.
Well, I mean, this next concert in many ways kind of sums up the string quartet, not just us, but any string quartet, because you've got the first Beethoven, the greatest composer of all for string quartet, Beethoven, and his first quartet is just sublime. It's got this incredible slow movement, hasn't it?
Exactly. You know, slow movement is actually inspired by the death scene of Romeo and Juliet.
You can't get more kind of high art than that, I suppose. More class than that. You simply can't find someone, you know, the greatest composer of all time, commenting on the greatest playwright there's ever been. So that's fantastic. And around that, the rest of the piece is all very youthful. It's only Opus 18. He was very young when he was writing this stuff. First movement is fiery, con brio, and then there's a very fast scherzo with an incredible trio section for the first violin, and then the last movement is light-hearted and full of fun. And that then is followed by, in my opinion, the greatest quartet composer of the last century, Dmitri Shostakovich, who not only just in quartets, but in symphonies seemed to take up the baton from Beethoven. So it seems to work very well to have the two composers side by side. I mean, it's just so strong. Well, we've elected on this occasion to play number 8 of Shostakovich because that's, I don't know, it's his comment on the tragedy and dangers of fascism, and it's said that he visited Dresden and was so appalled by what he saw. Don't forget that was by the Allied bombings. He was so appalled that he, in a very, very short space of time, wrote this piece. It's also like his own epitaph. He actually said himself, no one's going to bother writing one for me, so I'll write one for myself. And this quartet is so succinct in performance. It's only 20-odd minutes, but it packs an unbelievably powerful punch. So that first half, in terms of string quartet, is almost the ultimate. The second half of that concert is this. Well, it's one of the,
how old was Mendelssohn when he wrote the octet? 14, 15? Something like that?
Probably.
Incredibly young. It's one of the most kind of life-affirming and brilliant pieces ever written. It's completely happy. I think it's a nice contrast with the Shostakovich, actually, because one of the pieces kind of shows the deepest kind of desperation, that mankind is capable of, really plummeting the depths. And I think anyone who sees or experiences this Shostakovich piece will feel quite devastated at the end. It's really something amazing. And then the Mendelssohn is just so uplifting and happy and glorious and full of kind of bubbly, infectious energy. I think we need that after the break. Otherwise, people will go home and
Well, and what's nice is
that's not good either.
What's nice is we're going to have some of your friends as well to play.
Exactly. So we did a nice. Octet. You need kind of 2 string quartets. So we are inviting my friends from my kind of Amsterdam Chamber Music Ensemble, obviously in Amsterdam, and they're all very young and I think excellent players. So I think it would make a nice combination.
Yeah.
And once again, so people will go into the interval feeling drained, and then they'll come out at the end feeling very, very happy again, unless we play it very badly. Let's see.
That's very likely.
No, we will not.
The second program in May is slightly different affair. I mean, it's still very centered on the string quartet repertoire. We've got Beethoven and Mendelssohn. We're quite keen on Beethoven.
Yeah.
We find it difficult to play any concert without a bit of Beethoven in it. He's so amazing. And it's just, it's always occurred to us that the F minor, I mean, Mendelssohn actually based his A minor quartet on the Beethoven, as did Brahms, by the way. But this F minor Mendelssohn it's an amazing piece even for him, because, as Daniel was just saying, in the octet, when Mendelssohn wrote the octet, he was just a kid, he was a teenager. And people think that Mendelssohn actually only wrote good music when he was in his teens, but
Exactly.
this late quartet, Opus 80, in many ways disproves that. And I think possibly the inspiration, I don't know if you can call it inspiration, but the reason for him writing that quartet was the death of his darling sister, Fanny, who he was completely, they had an incredibly close relationship. And I think he was really devastated after that, and out came this piece. But what's fascinating is that even in that situation, he turned to Beethoven for kind of inspiration, and he took this Opus 95, the Serioso of Beethoven, also in F minor, as a kind of blueprint. And the two pieces...
Exactly, because Opus 95 is Beethoven at his most kind of impetuous and stormy and, the kind of tormented, troubled Beethoven. And Mendelssohn, who is often quite happy, isn't he? In this piece, not so much. It's brooding and dark, and it's wonderful. So it's nice to show young Beethoven and young Mendelssohn, and then a little later, much more kind of troubled and wonderfully dark Beethoven and Mendelssohn.
Yeah.
Interesting to come to both concerts and kind of compare. And also, I would invite people to explore the riches of Mendelssohn. I know people know Beethoven, but Beethoven every time again is mind-blowingly original.
Yes.
I heard the Ninth Symphony yesterday while I was in my bath. First played by Harnoncourt in a very kind of authentic way, and then after that a very romantic version with Haitink. I couldn't choose; they were both glorious.
Exactly.
Beethoven, if it's played with conviction, it always works.
We're opening the concert with a gorgeous little Purcell Chaconne.
Oh, that's so moving, so lovely.
The second half, we're opening with
Chrysanthemi, is it?
Sats, quartet
Okay,
Sats.
exactly.
And then's the Chrysanthemi.
Wonderful. The quartet, the Schubert quartet Sats.
Yeah.
That's an amazing piece. It only lasts about 10 minutes, but immediately from the beginning, it has an energy that's almost unheard of. It begins, and another one joins in, and another, and then a big fortissimo chord. Incredible.
It's really
I would go to a concert just to hear that piece myself.
Well, you like the Puccini as well.
Oh, Puccini, Chrysanthemi. The famous opera composer Puccini, he wrote this glorious kind of little, very tender lament for a friend who died very young, and it's a kind of little requiem, but it's in a very operatic style and very small, like a miniature, but it's so moving.
That's why it's in there just before the Mendelssohn, because you get two composers who are kind of thinking about the death of a loved one.
Exactly. And in Puccini's case, there are a couple of outbursts, aren't there? But most of it is so tender and sweet.
It's gorgeous.
Some nice music.
The one piece that we haven't kind of mentioned is the second piece in the first half, which is a piece that we commissioned back in 2000. Everybody was, in the lead up to the great millennium, everyone was contacting us and saying, okay, well, what's the Brodsky idea for the millennium? So we invited 6 friends, and we gave them one of the Opus 18s each, like that. We said, now off you go. This is your inspiration. Write us a little 10 or 12 minute piece based on one of these Beethovens, which they did, and it culminated in we think a really beautiful thing. And we've actually chosen to play Karen Tanaka's thoughts on 18.3 for no particular reason other than we just feel that it fits into this program rather beautifully. And she entitled it At the Grave of Beethoven. So again, it's kind of this idea of loss, which seems to, in a way, pervade that concert. Come along and see it. Hear it. It's going to be...
In this wonderful hall, great acoustics, great atmosphere. Yes. I think it's a perfect size for chamber music. It's biggish for chamber music, but with these acoustics, it just works gloriously.
The stage is so generous when you walk out here, even like with the octet, it's going to feel amazing.
Exactly, wonderful. And it's ornate, and it feels intimate at the same time, as being grand.